Do you feel that you have to constantly remind yourself
Yeah,
of why you're struggling?
it's a very trying career, mentally, spiritually, physically. You know, you've seen artists who have died on tour,
Yeah.
artists who have died on stage.
Why?
You know,
Why?
it's very taxing. For example, like Denmark, you reach, you go for sound check, you come back, you do the show ends, you have to pack, get ready, your flight is, now you're going to another country, so now you have to sleep on the plane, but you can't really sleep on a plane.
Yes.
At the same time, you have to do your job as well, because you have to make music, you have to be a certain thing for these people who have come to watch you. So you have to constantly be in a space to deliver.
Yeah, almost like you're a constant crowd pleaser.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like a monkey in a zoo almost. People say, like, for example, selling your soul. You know, selling your soul to me is losing free will. You know, so everyone has sold a piece of their soul to this game, a bit of their free will. You know, and depending on how much free will you're willing to give, the more money you can make.
Yeah.
And that necessarily doesn't even mean how famous you can get, but it can also be directly proportional still to how far you can go sometimes. There's artists I've met who can't even like go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like in Lagos, I can be there with like some of my artist friends. The moment they get out, sometimes they can come maybe to like where I'm staying. And the moment like they step out like this, it's chaos.
This is the very, very best. I introduce the very, very next. Big deal. You know this is the big league. Sanga mumi handa ya chigari make a big fish. Word on the street to akaze. Habari gani mumeze mte. Dutse chimi mana kuva hunda muchiye. If you want the long form, come close and double. Wait, what? The long form. What did he say? The long form. What? The long form. The long form. The long form.
Hello there. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Joshua Baraka. One of Uganda's fastest rising musical exports, Joshua is redefining what it means to be a young African creative. But behind the streams, the tours, and the fame, Joshua is navigating bigger challenges than just music. In this conversation, we explore Joshua's creative process, his thoughts on the Ugandan musical ecosystem, and how he manages pressure and purpose in an age where everything, even art, feels temporary. Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who've been a part of the long form journey. Every view, comment, and subscription has helped us grow and get to where we are today. But here's the thing, about 72% of the people who actually watch this podcast haven't subscribed yet. We want to keep bringing you even bigger conversations with even bigger guests, including, let's say, even the president of this country. But this milestone starts with you. Subscribing is free, but it makes a huge difference. It shows our guests that what we're building here matters and that it's worth their time appearing on my platform. So please help us and hit that subscribe button, and we'll promise to keep delivering powerful, meaningful conversations. Thank you so much. Now, let's get into the episode. Mr. Joshua.
Yes.
Mr. Baraka.
How are you, sir?
Welcome to the Long Form.
Thank you for having me, man.
I'm super excited to have you. I feel like I'm having a chance to sit down with you just at the right time.
Yeah.
Just before you become too big for me.
Man, thank you for having me, man.
No, it's super. I'm super thankful. You know, we've been trying to get this done.
Yeah.
And I know, you had to move a few things around.
Yeah.
And taking some time out of your day.
Yes.
So
thank you for being flexible as well.
No. Listen, we came here to Uganda to meet the best.
Yeah.
And you're the best.
Thank you,
and,
man. I appreciate it.
one of the things that I got to do was actually watch you to create music.
Yeah.
With your, you have this show on the 29th of November, and it's going to be live music, right? So
Yeah.
I had a chance. I was sitting down with you in the studio, and it was almost like a glimpse into, I don't want to call it magic, but pretty much, yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
How do you do it? Like there was and people, maybe people don't know you. They think that you're this guy who's just singing. No. You're on the keyboard, right? And then there was a guy next to you. And then there was a guy on bass, and you'd point at him and be like, do it like, do a do. And then there was another guy on percussion, and you were the conductor of that orchestra.
It's almost like being a site manager, being a site manager. To be a site manager, you have to understand how to be the people you're telling things to do, to like being one of those people, you have to understand the ins and outs of whatever you're overseeing. So for me as a person, and as an artist, I'm someone who loves music. So I've got a chance to learn different instruments and get to interact music on a more personal level, almost like music is almost like a thing.
So what do you mean, like a thing?
It's almost tangible.
Yes.
No,
you can
it's
actually
an energy.
Touch it.
Exactly. Music is an energy. It's almost like another state of matter, So once you get to understand it properly, you understand that all these things are just instruments. An instrument is something that's supposed to bring out something. So once you understand the music, now you just have to know how to make the instrument bring out that music, which is now how you learn an instrument. And once you understand that, you come to realize that all instruments are actually the same, and music is all the same. And once you learn how to present that music and bring it out of you, you can literally play anything, any instrument, anything. So for me, once I'm in a session like that, I'm directing because I understand the flow of the music I want to make, the flow of the music I want to bring out. So I know what instrument will bring what section of that music out. You get me?
No, and maybe, how about this? So there's a song, let's say a popular song that everyone knows, Nana, right? So now we have, as consumers, enjoyed the sausage. That is the music. Right? Now I want to kind of go back and see how is this sausage made. Right? So take me through that process of that particular song, as well as its music, its direction, its lyrics, how you chose to sing what, and because there are certain words and you're like, how you raise your voice, how you lower it, like how is a hit song made?
First of all, no one knows how to make a hit song. But you just make music. You never know which song will be a hit, which won't be. But for Nana, for example, I did it with a producer called Axon. And so for me and Axon, work in a way where, like, it depends on what you're inspired to do in that session. Like if you feel like making drums, you do that. If you have a melody idea, you do that. So in that particular session, and in most sessions, he's good with drums. So he does the drums, and then I do the melodies and stuff like that. So he started the drums. He had like an idea. There's a song called All Tonight, Shaggy.
Yes.
And he wanted those kinds of drums. So we built the drums. And then there's the progression for Nana is a very popular progression. It's just played very differently each time and in each song. Like it's the same chord progression as just the two of us. What you want to do maybe even love no entity. They're all the same progression. It's just how you play it, you know.
So what is progression for people
A chord
who don't understand?
progression is the flow of chords. So for example, if I do it's hard to do without answering, but like if you have one chord which is a chord is a combination of notes.
Okay.
Right? So if I have different notes and I play them together, that's a chord.
Okay.
You know? So each chord sounds different. So a chord is normally what you hear when someone does like maybe ting. You
That's
don't hear one note. You hear a bunch of notes together, but it sounds like one thing. That's a chord.
Okay.
So now depending on the space between the notes and how close they are, how far they are, and where they are, it gives it different tones.
Okay.
So it can sound sad, it can sound happy, it can sound open, it can sound close, it can sound almost like a horror, it can sound scary, you know, depending on how you play the chord. So now, once I play a chord and then I follow it with another chord, it's how the chords are progressing. So that's a chord progression.
Okay.
So some chord progressions can have 4 chords, 5 chords, 20 chords, depends on how crazy you want to go. So now the chord progression for Nana is a very common chord progression in jazz music. So I wanted to find a way of combining both worlds, you know, and that's when I played that thing, the progression, anyways. But then I didn't want to make it too musical, you know, so I stripped it apart, and instead of almost playing full chords, I highlighted the main notes I wanted. So
just before just a quick interruption. And how long, like that whole thing that you've just talked about, right? The chord progressions and deciding it like, okay, I don't want it to be too musical, so I'm just going to strip it down. How quickly are you coming to these decisions? Before we continue, as you're probably aware, every conversation we bring takes time, research, and sometimes plane tickets. We do it because we love sharing stories that matter. If you've enjoyed what we've built and want to help us grow even further, you can now support the long form directly. Feel free to donate to our Momo code 95462, registered under LF Media Limited. Every contribution, big or small, helps us go even further. Thank you. Is it like super
2
fast?
minutes.
It's like you're like a supercomputer.
It's like a thought,
Yeah.
you know? But of course, it's years and years of knowledge and practice to a point where you can just do it like
instinctual.
that, you know? So now we decided like the tones we wanted, and the feel I wanted it to have. You know, I wanted it to have a Caribbean feel, you know. So different music is played differently. So that's why you hear like the tabs, the stabs, like it's just the tone of it and how different genres work. And then when I started singing, I didn't go beyond, I don't think I went beyond 4 notes, you know, in the main melody. Dun, dun. When I put the words, it sounds like it's a lot, but once I play it, it's very minimal, because the main melody, for example, the verse is, my girl, she a Cinderella, dance till she fall off. But when I play it, it's like tan tan ta 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 ta. Da 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 da. That's the same note. Da da da. Just 2 notes actually. Da 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 da. Just 2 notes.
Yeah.
Because the music was flowing behind, and if I added too many notes, it would start to clash, become, you know. So I just decided to keep the melody simple, so that it goes with the simple drums and people can not be distracted by the music of it. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's not stuff I think about as I create. It just happens naturally, and it just happens. But of course, I can break it down, because that's not to brag, but that's how
That's what you do.
deep I understand
Yeah.
what I'm doing. But it's not a thought that I didn't sit down and be like, oh, let me sing 2 notes. No, it just happened. It just came. But that's because that's how I would naturally react maybe to that progression or the drums and what I wanted to bring out.
No, off camera, we were talking about football, and we were talking about Messi or Ronaldinho. How they do things that even seem to surprise them.
Yeah.
Because their minds are painting a picture that no one else can see.
Exactly. It's almost like you're in flow state, you know? Like, how does a football player decide to where to take the ball? You know? Like whether to go right or to go left. And depending on how the person is coming, how do they decide how to maneuver? It's stuff that just happens as the more you practice, and depending on how talented you are, the more you practice, like things like that just start to make natural sense. You know, they just come to you very naturally. You know? Yeah.
So from day one, when you sat down with your producer to the time you finished that particular song, we're talking how many days? How many months?
So we basically did verse 1 and chorus in like 40 minutes.
Jesus.
Yeah. In like 40 minutes to 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then a few months passed by. Then I came back and did verse 2 because I wanted to release the song. And one of my managers called DJ Sese, he suggested, because initially it was just going, and I love it till I can no more. Then he suggested doing the more. Yeah. So that was around the same month when I wanted to release. And yeah, we put it out and it went crazy.
No, but it does seem as if, to be honest, if it had been one session, it wouldn't have taken more than 3 hours, to be honest.
3 hours. 3 hours are many. 3 hours are many. Mostly if I'm feeling very inspired, you know, it's just comes, you know. But I just need to be in the position and in the space to do it.
Yeah. What puts you in that position and space to do things?
Life, I would say. You know, I'm inspired by life itself. Just being here talking, it can inspire me. Just moving around, doing different things can inspire me. Yeah, so I'm inspired by life itself, I would say.
Yeah.
And I once I'm inspired, like making music is easy because it has more direction now. Yeah.
Some musicians create their best art when they're in a stressful place.
Yeah.
Right? So they're either poor, unhappy, heartbroken,
stressed,
angry.
Yeah.
Some musicians need to be in a positive space. Are you a person who finds inspiration from both states of mind, or do you prefer one rather than the other?
No one prefers, of course, like sadness and stuff like that. But I would say it happens quite often to artists because we feel a bit more. Creative people are very, very, if not petty, sentimental.
Yes.
They tend to take in more than they should. Like they overthink what a person says.
So do you do that?
I do that all the time. I do that all the time. I would say all the creatives I've met, people who are actually like creative, they're very in their fields, you know, about each and everything. Like, so
when was the last time you were in your fields?
Extremely there. Yesterday, man, I was so tired. I was just like, man, yeah, but this is the life I chose. And
sorry,
that's
you.
already a whole song, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired, but I have to work.
Did you write
an idea
something?
Right there.
Did you write something?
I actually wrote a line. But I'll see how to use it. But it was it was count of the thought I was having. You know, I needed to hype myself
can you
up.
share it?
It's
maybe?
it was saying, it says 1 + 1 is equal to 1 because I say so. You know, and that's just, I'll probably write it more when I'm maybe making a song about, just to hype myself up, you know, stuff like that. Because in that moment, I needed to hype myself up, you know, remind myself why I'm doing this thing and who I am, you know.
Do you feel that you have to constantly remind yourself
Yeah,
of why you're struggling? Because
exactly.
no one really sees. I mean, we've
The
talked off
work.
camera of just how hard it is.
Yeah, it's very hard. I would say most people think artists, you just wake up and you go and you sing, you come back, they give you money, you go to studio, you play around with pianos.
Yes, and then
you
they give
come
you
back,
more money.
They give you more money.
Yeah.
But it's actually a lot of work, you know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, you know. So you have to constantly remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. It's a very trying career, mentally, spiritually, physically, you know. You've seen artists who have died on tour, artists who have died on stage.
Why?
You know? It's very taxing. You've never.
No, I've never. So
you've never, as a normal person, like you've never been in a position where you have to physically push your body, for example, like 3 nights in a row.
And that's what you've done
during
before?
day, you have to, you know.
No, is that what you had to like do? I think you were on a tour of Europe.
Yeah.
Is that actually?
Yeah, definitely. Because, for example, like Denmark, you reach, you go for sound check, you come back, you do the show ends, you have to pack, get ready, your flight is, now you're going to another country, so now you have to sleep on the plane, but you can't really sleep on a plane.
Yes.
Then you reach the other place, you have to unpack, do media, meet people, then do the show, pack again, leave, you know, like you don't really ever get to rest, mostly when you're on tour, you know. And then on top of that, you're a person, you know, you have real life happening, and then on top of that, now you have social media happening, you know.
What do you mean by that?
Like, of course, you're constantly viewed, constantly, things are constantly coming up, you know, and at the same time, you have to do your job as well, because you have to make music, you have to be a certain thing for these people who have come to watch you. So you have to constantly be in a space to deliver.
Yeah, almost like you're a constant crowd pleaser.
Yes, exactly. You're like a monkey in a zoo almost, you know. And you have to. And it's me right now. I'm not complaining, you know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just the reality of it, you know. And it's nice. I enjoy it, but it's very taxing, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be able to do it. And I think that's why I believe everyone has a different grace on their lives, a different calling, and yeah, it's not easy at all. So you constantly have to remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing, who you are. You know, it's very easy to forget who you are in this thing.
Why is Baraka doing what he's doing?
Me, I do what I do because I love music.
So it's not about the money?
No, it's not really about the money, you know? It's not about the money.
Money must be nice, though.
It's amazing. Money makes the world go round, you know? We're living in the world, and this world, you need money, you know? So also money is nice because you now get to get all the instruments you've wanted. You get to meet different people, you know, get to learn, get to travel. So money is important, but even if I didn't have it, or I didn't get it, or I wasn't getting it, I would still do music. I would still love music, you know, and that's why I do what I do. But of course, I want to get more money, but I love music.
Would you say, when were you the happiest? Before, when you created just because you love to create, or now, where there is a market for your creation, and there's, you know, I guess resources that come your way, money, fame, attention, free things. When was Baraka the happiest, and when do you think you were the most proficient as an artist?
I think I was definitely more proficient then, more effective as a musician, because I had too much time. I had time to practice for 8 hours, and sorry, I had time to practice for all those hours. Sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah, I had time to practice all those hours. I had time to go on YouTube and research and do all those things, you know, to stay in studio the whole day, you know. But right now I don't have much of that time, so I would say I don't practice as much as I do. I actually rely on the practice I did.
Yeah.
I don't really. I learn new things, but not at the pace I used to. But I would say I'm happier now. Of course,
really,
I'm happier now than then, because then I had too much things going on in life. Like I was broke, you know, I was hungry, I was what, you know.
Hungry? Like is it physical
No,
hunger?
physical hunger. Physical hunger.
Why were you hungry, Joshua? I don't know your story, so.
Yeah, I grew up in Boise. Boise is like a hood here in Kampala. So me, I grew up in the hood. I'm not privileged in any way. I've just always been blessed, you know. So growing up in the ghetto, man, it's tough, you know, mostly as a creative, you know. So right now I'm in studio making music with J5, you know. I'm on stage with Saz and Wizkid.
Yeah, you're going to Afro Nation.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm blessed, you know. So I'm definitely happier now when creating and stuff like that. Yeah.
How?
Although of course I have more. I don't know. I feel like right now the problems shift. They're now more emotional things, you know. Yeah.
No, it must be super hard. I was just wondering, when you talk about, you know, a place like Boise, right? The way you've painted that picture, I can almost imagine it, right? It's not. It must have been super hard, right?
Yeah.
How does a young boy dream?
Yeah.
In a place where you look around and dreams go to die, right? How do you keep your dream? Because at any moment you could have been like, you know what?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you keep the faith,
man? First of all, like the ghetto is hard, but there's a lot of people who everyone in the ghetto is a dreamer. Everyone is a champion in their minds, you know. Everyone is trying to achieve something. If you go there now, there's guys rapping around, like just spitting, rapping, making music, you know,
and people
just trying to.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to ask you. And then people like your neighbors don't tell you your dream is too big, or do they?
No, yeah. That's the beauty of the ghetto. I feel like in the ghetto, no one tells you this is too, because everyone wants to live, everyone wants to exist, you know. Who am I to tell you that you won't make it, or you won't, you know, like. And there's been a lot of examples of people who have come from there and done things, you know. So everyone just tries to uplift the other. So of course there will always be people who are just negative people, you know, but generally people try to be there for each other. So just being there in itself was inspiring, because it was inspiring me to live.
I mean, that's a super important inspiration, right?
Yeah. So. And also I would say people are gifted differently. People are called differently. I'm a big believer in that, and I think I just me as a person, God has given me the grace to be able to just push on. You get me? To push on. And also, I love music to a point that's very almost delusional.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, I love music to a point where I just love making music. I want to make music no matter what. You get what I mean? So that just that passion alone, and that me, I've never been a person who's hungry to be famous or anything.
Although it has happened.
Yes, but I want to be heard. You know? But of course, the more people hear you, the more famous you become and stuff like that. So fame for me has always been just a byproduct of me wanting the whole world to hear what I want to say. The whole world to hear a piece of my creation, you know, to hear how I view music, how I view life, to hear how I arrange things, how I make music, you know.
Why was that so important for you? Because the reason I'm asking, right, there are two parts that I think are interesting about what you said. There is the creative, because you can create in a room, and you can be more than happy that, you know what, I created this beautiful melody. I painted this picture. Then there's the performance aspect, right? Where you take the music, or if you're an artist, a painter, you take the paint and then you show it to the public. It seems like there are two sides. It almost seems like you wanted to be the performer.
It's not being the performer, it's still being the artist. You know, I want to be heard. You know, we create to I feel like art, if you make art and you just keep it at home, it's almost disrespectful to God, you know? Yeah, like, why are you gifted in something and you're just not using it? You're not. For me, I've always felt that the main reason even why I want to be heard is that I've had a lot of people. I've had a lot of people's music and art, not just music, film, paintings and poetry and stories that have impacted my life so much and just made my world a better place, that I know I have something to offer when it comes to that, when it comes to what I make. I know there's someone out there who will listen to it, and either they'll be inspired by the music of it, or the message, or just how it feels, or just to be a part of that person's life. And I feel like that's what an artist is supposed to be and to do, because if God has given you a gift and the calling to and the grace to do that, then you should do it, you know?
You talk about God quite a lot, right? You've mentioned his name or her name a few times now, talking about God's blessings, you know, God's gift. God wants me to do this. Would you say that that is almost... So there's a parable, I think, in the Bible about the talents, right? Where, you know, Jesus is talking about, you know, God gave some people talents, some coins, and some people hid them, and then others were able to multiply them. And then the person who multiplied them was the one who was truly blessed. Do you feel that sense of responsibility that God has given me this talent? Now it's up to me. Like, do you actually like feel like, dude, like, if I'm not working, if I'm not creating, if I'm not performing, if I'm not out there, I'm almost going against God's gift and word?
Definitely. For me, my parents are both pastors. I've grown up in a very Christian family, but then I've also got to experience God on my own, on a personal level. And personally, people, I keep saying this and I'll keep saying it, people are very different. You know, there's people who want to live a very simple life. There's people who want to wake up They go to work. They don't want fame. They don't want anything. They don't even want a lot of money. They just want money to be okay. You know, they go to work, they leave work, they come back home, they have a family, and just be normal. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people at all.
Yeah.
You know, I want my life to be, I want to
Your
see
life
how
to be
far,
loud.
I want to see how far I can take this life thing.
Yeah.
How far I can go with what I've been blessed with. You know, I want to find out.
When you, because before you get, I always feel like before you reach your dream, you have to paint that picture in your head. You've said that I want to take this life thing as far as I can go. I feel like you actually know how far you want to take it. How far does Joshua Baraka want to take his life thing, that music thing, that artistry? What is the mountaintop for you?
I want to be not just remembered, but I want to set a brick, you know, on this industry, not just here, but like in the world. I want to be as big as Michael Jackson, you know. I want people to when they talk about me, I want them to, the same way that people talk about jazz. If you talk about jazz, you have to talk about Nat King Cole.
Yeah.
You have to
Duke
talk about,
Ellington.
you know, exactly. When you talk about pop, you have to talk about Michael Jackson. When you talk about reggae and just music, you have to talk about Bob Marley.
Yep.
You know, I want me to be, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I want to be like that. I want my art. You know, my art, not me, not my, you know, my art to be revered to that point.
And I mean, you're on the path.
Amen.
How do you? Okay, so you know where you want to go. Obviously, there are ways and means. One of the, so I heard you speak for the first time during the Grab a Coffee live podcast, and you were talking about music and the support systems that musicians need to get to the top. Because it's well and good to see the top of the mountain, but if you don't have the right clothes, the teams, you'll never get there, even if you might have the muscle to climb. You talked about the lack of an ecosystem in Uganda. And what was interesting for me is because as a Rwandan, we consume a lot of Ugandan music. Like when I was younger, it was, you know, Menton Summer and Jose Chameleon and all of them. And we look at the Ugandan scene as an extremely mature music scene. So it was super confusing and interesting to hear you also complain about what artists in Rwanda complain about. I'm like, so if you guys are ahead of us, what the hell is going on here?
What's interesting is that no matter what country you go to, the artists there will be complaining. They will be complaining. When you look at the UK, like when you go to the UK and you meet the artists, they're like, man, this industry is dead. This industry is not making sense. You know? And that's just in my life. You know, every level you reach, you feel like you compare yourself, you see, and you just feel like there's much more to be done. And there's always more to be done. But of course, I believe industries are almost like people. I would say the more it grows, the more it can the more certain things are easier because there's more people who have done certain things. So when you see the industry of Rwanda and Uganda, like Rwanda has just come back from like the war and stuff like that. So it's almost like it reset after that, you know. Now you're building again. So I would say the Ugandan industry in that sense is kind of older than the Rwandan industry. So it's slightly more organized, I would say. although that doesn't mean the quality of the music is the same. You know, I genuinely believe your mainstream music is more musical than ours.
What do you mean by that? That's very confusing.
Musical in terms of the music itself, the progressions and the quality of the sound itself, how the music is put together, the notes, the arrangements. It's slightly more musical than ours. Ours is simpler and enjoyable, I would say. But the industries, of course, are very different, you know, in terms of how long they've been around. But now when you compare the Ugandan industry to the Nigerian industry, almost like babies, you know, because these people have had Fela Kuti performing at late night shows in America years back, you know. So once such doors are opened, like by the Don Jazzies, the Banjes, you know, like there's more spots for them to reach and get into than us, you know.
You know, one of the, again, sitting down with you guys and in this studio, I was kind of looking at the equipment you guys were using. And I tried to do a quick math in my head. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is easily tens of thousands of dollars of just equipment just sitting there. Now, there might be young people like you, right? So you came from challenges, right? You did not have the means to book that kind of studio time or buy your own stuff. And there are many young people who are just like you. So looking at now it's really cool to actually talk to an artist who's gone through the grind, because then you can help a young person navigate. You know, you've blazed the path. So someone who's coming from an unprivileged position, who is talented, who knows, who believes that they could be the next Michael Jackson, just like you. How do they navigate where they are? What should they do? Who should they partner with?
I think the most important thing, first of all, is to grow your craft. You know, once you grow your craft to a certain level, it's much easier to get into rooms. You know, they say, what's the thing they say? Talent gets into the room, but your character keeps you there. I would say. So now, how hard you work and stuff like that is what will be the backbone to your talent. You know, because you have to grow your talent, and once you grow your craft, it's much easier for people to work with you. You're much more sellable, I would say, and also opportunities become easier. For example, like if you can play an instrument, it's much easier for people to work with you, because now once they book you, you don't have now to pay a band. You can first start, you just come, you play your guitar as you sing. You know, and now that's more cost effective, because the most you'll do is hire a guitar if you don't have a friend who has a guitar. But by the time you're learning guitar, that means you know someone who has a guitar around or something. So now you're getting your bookings, you come, they pay you some money, you're just singing with your guitar.
Is that how you started?
That's how I started. So growing your craft, and also just understanding music, you know, learning how to write, learning how to put your ideas together, stuff like that. And this is stuff you can easily learn by, first of all, observing others, which is listening to music. Like you listen to a lot of music and try to understand the music behind it, you know, not just listening. And also you grow your writing, you try to learn as many skills as you can. For example, for example, I couldn't afford studio, you know, I couldn't afford studio.
Do you remember what it used to cost? Like what?
It wasn't even that expensive. Okay, I'm speaking from but it was like, I think they were making because we had some studios around, but they were all not even that nice, you know.
Yes.
So compared even to the kind of music I wanted to do, they were the producers who were there were not the kind of producers I want to work with, and the kind of producers I wanted to work with were millions. Like maybe they would start making a song at maybe 500K Ugandan shillings or $1 million. And at that point, that was ridiculous, you know? So once you're in a position like that, the only other thing you can do is learn the skill so that you can do it yourself. And that's how I got into production. I have a close friend of mine called Matthew, who had a laptop. Someday he was using it for work. And then the good thing with the internet is that right now anything is online. You just have to get data. You know, so I got data. I downloaded the cracked version of FL Studio, put it on the laptop, and then just started learning on what helped me is that I already knew how to play piano and instruments and stuff. So I was just transferring knowledge, where to get what. I had the vision of what I want to make. And of course, the first stuff you make is always not nice, you know, but the more you learn and the more you grow, you get to understand it and be better at it, you know. So I learned that on YouTube and stuff, and it didn't cost me anything almost, you know, just cost me like 20K worth in data. That's in data, you know. So there's a lot of spots for you to grow your craft. So once you grow your craft, even imagine you met someone, like a kid somewhere in the streets somewhere. They can sing, they can write, and they not just mediocre stuff, like really good. They can sing really good, they can write really good, they can play an instrument, they have knowledge on production. Even you would see like, this person,
give this kid a chance.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, maybe I should introduce this kid to Baraka.
Yeah.
You get me?
I hear you.
But now you meet someone, they barely have any skill, but they have a big dream.
Yeah.
You know, that's not easy. That's not easy, you know.
Now
that person has to work even 10 times harder. So I would say the first and the most important thing is to grow your craft.
Learn,
understand whatever you want to do. And this is in any field, you know. Try to be the best at it. And once you have that, now start trying to move into spaces where people do the thing you do.
Yeah.
So now that brings me to my other thing, networking. You know, you need people to do certain things. You need people to meet people who will introduce you to more people, so that more people can meet you. You get me?
I mean, that's how I met you.
Exactly. So that's the beauty of networking. I've come to love networking. And understand it. Good thing I've been blessed with a few jokes and a big social battery. So I love networking. But sometimes, of course, I get tired of it. But so that brings me to a point, networking, which means get into, for example, go to live bands, maybe, you know,
where they're
performing, do like a song, maybe, because every band everywhere, as a person who hasn't been in a band, sometimes they hire you to play like 3 hours, 2 hours. You need some time there to confuse people, because those songs are too many. So you call, there's every band everywhere, at least here in Kampala, will always have a point where they call people from the audience to sing. You know? So go do your thing, you know? That's a chance for you to practice as you network and you meet people. You meet a band person, is like, hey man, this guy is good. Maybe let's go to studio, or maybe let me, you know, you just get to meet those people, learn from them, go for industry events, you know. Of course, until you're a certain level, no one will
invite
care.
You.
You know, no one will even care you're there. Sometimes you'll talk to, there's people I've introduced myself to hundreds of times.
They remember you now?
Now they know me. It's now me who has forgotten them.
Oh dear.
Yeah, God is good. I don't know if that's a good thing, but just know you have to introduce yourself hundreds of millions of times, you know, and meet and try to, until one day, just as you grow yourself and you grow of craft, you'll meet the right people. You'll start, things will just start falling into place.
Yeah.
Once there's hard work and you're working, you're doing these two things, trust me, there's no way, unless of course it's not your calling and you have no talent at it and you're not gifted at it, there's no way it won't work. But both these things need you to come to my third thing, which is your mentality. You know, how you navigate certain things, you know, how you navigate rejection, how you navigate being misunderstood, how you navigate loneliness. You know, these are all very important things, and these are all very negative emotions. So how you balance out the negativity in your life and clean yourself is also very important, because you can do all these things, but now you can't sustain them. You know, because you can't sustain yourself. Yeah.
You know, I've been around celebrities or famous people or powerful people, and it's like the world is grabbing at you, and it never stops, right? Now I want to ask you this question. You know, you've been a young man who no one cared about. You know, just a young man with a dream in your heart. And now you're a person who can rock an arena of thousands. In a world where everyone loves you because of the art you create and the value you create for them, some will love you for your music, some will love you because you're fundamentally a commodity. You're like a tradable good.
Yeah.
I plug and play, and then money flows into my pocket. How do you then have genuine relationships?
Yeah. It's hard to make them at a certain point. It's hard to make new friendships. Like me right now, it's hard for me to make a new friend.
Yeah.
But I have friends I've had from back then who have always been there for me, you know? And you don't need too many friends, you know?
But then I'm talking about relationships,
Yeah.
because it's not just friends. It could be people who are saying, hey, I want to bring you business. I want to be a romantic partner. I want to be a tour manager. I want to be I want to be your lawyer. Right?
So now those ones, I think you just have to have discernment and also try to consult and understand who that person is. You know, who that person is, and it's very necessary to vet people.
Did you vet me?
Of course.
Yeah. How did it go?
Not
I'm interested too.
Not even in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's just
it's because you've taken time.
Yeah.
And by the time you sit in front of a camera, you're saying, I trust myself with this person.
Yeah. I would say, first of all, personally, God has blessed me with the gift of discernment. I'm a very good judge of character, and I can tell how people are by how they address others and stuff like that. So even when we met, like at the podcast, when they invited you, how you managed the whole thing, I could tell that this person is at least respectful. So I knew there's like certain questions you won't ask. You won't try to set me up. And then I also, of course, like watched some of the stuff, you know, and also how other people I know were responding to you and stuff like that. So considering all those things, I knew or had a feeling that things would go well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of do with the rest of your life, because
Yeah, definitely.
it's hard. I'm not at your level of celebrity, but
you're a celebrity in your own
no,
right.
no. There's different levels,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
I'm always really interested in kind of figuring out, because when people want to talk to me because of the work that I do, I always know that it's not, this is a genuine interaction, but sometimes it's really not.
Yeah.
That I don't know how to say, like
they're just there to tick a box.
Yeah, or they'll want to, but then their interaction with you is real.
Yeah, but you have to get ready for that. Mostly, like in the thing you do.
Yeah.
Mostly now, when you commercialize, there's people who have, for example, they're having like an album rollout, and your podcast is hot, you know, and they'll come, they'll be like, hey, can I sit down with you? Maybe you ask for a fee or something. They come, they sit down. Sometimes they're also good for your brand. Maybe they are popular or something, so they're good for the pod and stuff. But you don't really like these people.
Yeah.
You don't even listen to their music. You've never watched their movie. You've seen a lot of talk hosts where they don't even know the person, the guest who has come. You know, the guest is just there. So I feel like staying genuine to yourself is not an easy thing, first of all. And then also, I think it's just about how much you love what you do, and how far incorruptibility, that's not even a word.
Yeah, no, but I hear you.
How corruptible you can go, you know, because it can't be zero. If it's zero, you're going to be poor. If it's zero, you're going to be poor. So you need to know your limits. Once you have your limits set, that will also help you in how you interact relationships and people. Because how far can you sell out? You know,
before you feel that you know, because it's super scary.
Yeah,
I've never, you know, I've never been that person. But then somehow, because we have a couple of cameras, then all of a sudden you're that person. And
you know, people say, like, for example, selling your soul. You know, selling your soul to me is losing free will. You know, so everyone has sold a piece of their soul to this game, a bit of their free will. You know, and depending on how much free will you're willing to give, the more money you can make.
Yeah.
And that necessarily doesn't even mean how famous you can get, but it can also be directly proportion, I would say, because I'm a science person. It's directly proportional still to how far you can go sometimes, you know?
I hear
you. I feel like that's what selling your soul is. I know guys are going to clip this thing and say I sold my soul.
No one's going to clip
but
this.
you get what I mean?
At least I'm not going
in
to
context. You get it in context.
No, I hear you.
So now I feel like,
I mean, fundamentally, there's a price to pay for everything.
Exactly.
And there's a saying that I love, which is the juice worth the squeeze?
Exactly.
At all times, whenever I'm about to do something, is the juice worth the squeeze? And am I willing to bear the consequences of my actions?
Exactly.
And one of the consequences of your actions is you can go fewer and fewer places.
Yeah.
And just be you.
Yeah.
You know, a while ago we were walking down, I think Naguru Hill.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this, and I was surprised, not because you're this huge celebrity, but that you felt comfortable enough to still be. Listen, I will walk.
Yeah.
And just chat, and I will not, because some people when they get to a certain level, they want to build walls around them, which is also, I think, to protect themselves from the world, because I guess you learn that the world sometimes is nasty, right? And how do you allow yourself to be you? And be the boy from Boise, but also in the knowledge that
I'm still
you are
I'm still
also
me.
now,
Yeah.
you are now a big person.
Yeah, I would say personally, I refuse to be changed by people's expectations.
Isn't that how what's his name died? Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful.
It's not easy. You need of course you need to be
Discernment.
sharp. Yes, you need to be sharp. And then also personally, I feel like your brand is how you make it, you know. If you set a standard of like, for me now I'm a certain way, and people will do that. People
will then treat you that
treat
way.
you a certain way, you know. But for me, I'm a people person. I'm a person who can walk into any place, you know, and exist with people. Although of course now it's much more difficult because not even because of me, but because certain people are different. So certain people don't know how to be
Behave
respectful, or like, you know, they just make the experience selfish to them, to them, because it becomes
because they don't care about you.
Exactly.
You're a commodity. You are that thing.
Exactly.
And your job is to, I think, serve them.
Yeah, kind of, you know, and then stuff like that. But for me personally, like, I try to just be me, I would say, like, and just live. And I need that, you know. But I need that. I feel like those are the little things that remind me and keep me, you know, kind of.
Just walking in the street.
Yeah.
You know, just feeling the energy.
Exactly. And I feel like I need to hold on to that as long as I can. Because of course there comes a time when it becomes much more difficult. Like, there's artists I've met who can't even like go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like in Lagos, I can be there with like some of my artist friends and they can't even get out. Like, the moment they get out, sometimes they can come maybe to like where I'm staying. And the moment like they step out, like this, it's chaos. You get what I mean? Like, they can't really do anything. So even when you hang out with them, the car is always tinted. They're always in the car. From the car, they know exactly where they're going. You know, like, their lives are so fixed.
But
and, you know, I feel like it reaches a point, of course, where that can happen. And also, depending on how you've done your stuff from the route, you know. But now for me, I've been able to carve out a lot of spaces in this Kampala where I can just go and be myself, and people won't really care that I'm there. You know, I've been able, hopefully
that will continue.
I can sustain it
because like
for
you
some
said,
time. But of course, there reaches a level. Sorry to cut you short. There reaches a level where that becomes more and more difficult, you know.
And then what will you do then?
I'll figure it out when I get there.
I come to Kigali. I feel.
Yeah, I like Kigali, man.
I've walked. There's a time. I remember. You might know MTN Center in Nyarutarama. It's just.
Yeah.
There was a time I was literally walking down, and I remember I saw some white guy pass me. And in my head, I'm thinking, I've seen this white guy, and it was just him by himself, just walking like a civilian.
Yeah.
And only after did it register that it was Ben Affleck.
Crazy.
Like, because I then read in the news that Ben Affleck is in Kigali. I was like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Because in my head,
you were like,
Ben Affleck could not be walking by himself in MTN Center.
Yes.
Right? And so there's a reason I think certain artists like certain cities, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
New York is super popular with artists because there's so many that you can kind
People
of disappear into it. So I'm hoping that Kigali will
I love Kigali, man. I love Kigali. Kigali is one of my favorite cities in the world, man. I love Kigali. Every time I'm there, I'm having a great time. I think I always have great company because I'm always with Kivumbi,
King,
Mike
Kaihura,
Bruce Melody,
good people.
LA, like I know all of them, so I feel like I'm kind of with people I know.
And you're home.
It's always amazing. Yeah, the people are amazing as well.
I mean, I found out when I was researching for this that And you kind of confirmed off camera that your mom is actually Rwandan.
Yes, yes.
So that you literally
I'm
you're
home.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel at home.
Let's talk about, you talked about money. Like, of course you want to do this and be able to sustain your family, but the way music exists today, I want to ask you, when you're sweating blood, your blood, sweat, and tears, creating the art, suffering through the process to become the person that you are, you want to also get the full value of the hard work.
Yeah, definitely.
But then on the other side, we live in a world of copycats and illegal downloads and copyright laws that are just not being followed.
Yeah.
How do you, how's an artist supposed to survive when everyone steals your art?
First of all, now I feel like with the evolution of AI as well, the biggest thing now is going to be performing. That's you'll need to be on stage,
because that's a real thing.
Yeah, because people now can pay to watch you, But now there's AI artists. I saw an AI artist recently got into the Billboard 200 or 100 or something.
Yeah.
AI artists.
Yeah.
But the AI artists can't perform. Anyone who goes for like that, it's just weird, But like being an artist and performing on stage will always happen, and it will always be the most paying, I would say. And it's something that any artist can do, Other things that bring money, like a lot of money, are like brand deals and stuff like that, but you can't really get those when you're starting out. But you can get places to perform when you're starting out, So it goes back to growing your craft so that you can perform. And then digital, there's money on digital, but it's not as crazy as people think, and it requires you to be so big to make a lot of it.
You're big.
Yeah, I'm big, so I get some money from there.
From the Spotifys and the YouTubes. Is it a good living? Could you actually say that if I lived off of, could you comfortably live off of your Spotify and YouTube earnings?
In Uganda, yes. In Uganda, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because if you have 3 songs, for example, like over 5 million streams, you're good for like, as long as people are still streaming those songs, you're good. Like
you're talking about, like, say how much? I don't really. Around number. So 3 songs.
I'm not sure. Can I check?
Sure.
Can I? Because I'm not sure the right figure right now. Let me see. Just a minute. For example, like 1 million streams on Spotify is
for those who are listening and not watching, Joshua is
I'm
looking at his phone.
Yeah. So in Uganda, which is low, because different markets have different. Here each stream is 0.003
cents.
Zero dollars. I mean dollars. So 1 million streams is $3,000.
$3,000.
Yeah, $3,000, and that's like.
That's 1 million streams, though.
Yeah, that's 1 million streams.
Shit.
But that's just Spotify.
Yes.
That's just
so
Spotify.
Maybe Apple, you get some from Apple as well.
Apple Music actually pays more.
Yes.
Than.
So let's say $5,000 for 1 million streams.
Apple Music, 1 million streams is $6,000.
Okay,
so that's $9,000.
That's $9,000, and then maybe YouTube.
YouTube, I think YouTube actually pays the least.
Ish.
Let me see. YouTube actually is also 6,000. So it's Spotify that pays the least.
Right. So now it's $2,000? No, $3,000.
3,000, 6,000, 6,000. That's 15.
I mean, you could, yeah, but you could blow that in 2 months though. So
Depends on what you're doing.
But that means
because that's like in Uganda. That's let me see.
Because you still need to. There was studio time. There was artists.
But I remember you're also performing. You know, there's endorse code. By the time you get 1 million streams, people want to work with you. You know, so because 15K is, let me check here. $15,000 is,
give or take about
I want
50
to give real
million, around 50 million shillings or
15,000. 52 million. Yeah. You know, so
that's a
lot of money. That's an okay living if you're.
But that's not a living because you can burn through that in 6 months, huh?
Yeah.
So that means you have to like get another
million, another million streams. You know. Yeah.
Well, it's super hard.
So there's some money. There's money there. You know. Yeah. But you asked me. You know. So,
yeah. So there's you.
Yeah. So now for me, I'm Kawa.
Yeah.
But it's performing mostly that would make sense for any other artist, you know.
Yeah. You could literally live off of the streams.
It's possible, yes.
I mean, that's a blessing. One of the biggest tropes, and I'm not going to name a friend of mine who's kind of went through that, is just how many sharks there is in the music industry.
Yeah.
Right. So because you come in, you just want to make music, right? You're not yet a businessman. You're an artist. And then you come into a space where there are sharks around you and you're fresh meat. I'd be interested because I had this conversation also with JJ Okocha. I had him on, and we were talking about football players, professional athletes are famous for being broke 4 years after, right? So guys who were making millions of dollars, 5 years after the end, they put the ball down, or stop bouncing a ball or kicking a ball. They're bankrupt. I'd be interested in knowing, right, how Joshua understands that. One, I have to think long term.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? I'd be interested in knowing how do you, because let's say one day your voice goes. Not saying I'm not, knock on wood, I'm not putting it out there, but it's happened. What is your investment strategy to, one, fight those who would want to exploit you, and two, make sure that the money that you're creating now works for you in the long term? Are you buying land? Are you investing in unit trust? Are you creating a music studio so you have an artist, you have a record label? How does Joshua multiply his money?
There's a lot of things I want to do right now. Although, of course, right now my biggest investment has still been music, which is myself, you know.
So you're investing in Joshua?
In Joshua. That's my biggest investment right now. But of course, there's a lot of other things I want to do, or I'm starting to do on the side.
When you talk about investing in Joshua, what does that actually mean?
That's like traveling, funding tours and stuff.
So you have to fund your own tour?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, at the level I'm at least, you know. Yeah, it's self-funded, and so things like that, you know.
How much does the tour cost?
Hey,
let's say the European tour.
How
many stops did you have?
So now for me, for example, I had four stops, right? You're a team of, let's say 4. You know? Each person is there's flights,
accommodation,
there's food,
yes,
there's transport once you're there and stuff like that. And then so for the events themselves, you're working with different promoters,
okay,
you know, so you don't really have to spend on that. There's the look of things, so like you have to pay certain people, like content creators, things like that. You have to pay the people you're with as well, in some shape or form, you know. So those are all costs.
Yes.
So now a flight from here to Europe.
Yeah, it's a couple thousand.
Exactly. Now imagine it for 4 people,
Mm.
you know, and then do the math as well for the different countries.
Are you
And
flying
then you
business
haven't
by
even-
this at this case?
My guy.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah.
At least not right now.
Yeah.
The accommodation for the Europe is very
Super expensive. Yeah.
you know, and you're doing this in shillings.
Mm.
You're eating shillings.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy. They say in Europe, once you're in Europe, if you convert to your home country's money, you won't eat. You won't eat, you'll die.
Yeah.
You won't sleep. So that shows you how expensive it is. So stuff like that is very, very expensive.
So
But it's all necessary. It's part of the work, you know. It's part of growing. It's part of growing yourself.
yeah, I mean, I'm here, right? I flew
Exactly.
myself here.
Yeah.
I house myself, transport.
Exactly.
I
And
have
I'm
a
sure it
team.
was very expensive.
Yeah. I mean, for
Now
me,
doing it in Europe
yeah,
is also, you
Yeesh.
know, so stuff like that is really expensive.
So
but
that's
it's
the
required.
investment in you.
Yes, but it's required. You know, but of course, there's other things on the side that I'm heading into. You know, because now I'm at a level where I can. You know, so I want to get into events.
Like you being the
event, making events, because I see there's a kind of events there's some kind of events I want to make that I've been seeing it as I travel, you know. So that's why I made my alias Carlos Lopez. So Carlos Lopez will do that. And then of course there's the usual business stuff, you know, unit trusts, real estate and stuff like that. I'm also into, like, I want to start angel investing
like in other artists,
in
or
other and other people,
startups.
Startups and stuff like that, because I've come to accept that my mind can't really run, I would say, how do I phrase it that?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, you only have so much mental space.
Exactly.
And you can't be everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So if I have someone who I feel like is really good at something, I can give them money and we partner, we work out the papers and everything. I feel like I'm going to get more into that kind of stuff actually.
Soon?
You know? Soon, man. I've started a few, but I want to really get into it properly.
Any you want to mention them?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
And this is the last question, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I hope you're enjoying this.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, yes.
So let's talk about Endgame. What does 50-year-old Baraka look like? Is he still singing? You know, I've seen some artists, the guys of the Rolling Stones, they're like 100 years old. They're still touring.
Still going.
They're still going strong. Or do you see yourself, you know, do you have a natural space where you're like, okay, when I hit this, then I will move away from the performance and maybe kind of
you take
go
a back
into
seat. I keep telling people I want to retire at 40.
At 40?
At 40, yes.
Retire, what is retirement
Retire
for you?
in the sense of, like, just take the back seat and not really go out there and start to strive for #1 song and things like that. I want to get into scoring.
What's that?
Scoring is like making music for film. Because I love composing and I love arranging, so I get into that space. Of course, have artists, write for other artists as well, produce for other artists, and just be like a record label exec of sorts.
So that means you'll also have to have your own record label.
Yeah.
Is that something that you see yourself cooking?
Yeah, definitely. Even right now, if I had the resources, there's a lot of people I would have already signed. Yeah.
Do you give me a name? Someone that's probably unknown, but you're thinking, hey, Sonny, you need to know this name because they're coming.
I would say there's a guy called Expect Zavi. Tunji. There's a guy called Tunji with a G. Son of a Boda. Kamanzi. Kamanzi is amazing.
Yeah.
There are so many.
Yeah.
There's so many
that are being cooked.
Yeah, and they're very, very talented. Yeah.
You know, you don't have a lot of time. You're 25 now.
Yeah, so
that's 15 years.
15 years, man. So I need to cook, man. That's why I'm working so hard.
Yeah.
You know. By the time I'm that age, I want to be doing side quests. I want to be traveling.
Yeah.
Just enjoying life. Even run for presidency.
Really?
Yeah, because at that time, I don't know who will be there, but
you want to. So now that you've opened the door, let me ask you, President Joshua Baraka of Uganda, what does he stand for? How does he see? Because when you even say that, like, I want to be president, you're already imagining a Uganda under you.
Yeah.
What does Uganda under President Joshua Baraka look like?
A more sustainable Uganda for everyone, you know? A Uganda where everyone feels like they own a piece of Uganda. In them, in how they exist, they feel like Uganda loves them back. A lot of people love Uganda, but they don't feel like Uganda loves them back because they suffer so much in this country, you know? So a Uganda where everyone has access to certain things, where everyone has access to others' pain. You know, a lot of people don't access Uganda's pain, and they put their pain on a bunch of Ugandans, you know, and then for them they only get Uganda's gains.
Yeah.
So a Uganda where we are all stakeholders, so we suffer the loss, we suffer the gain. You know,
I'd vote for, if I was a Ugandan, I'd vote for a president who feels our pain.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really talk much about politics.
Listen, put that on a T-shirt.
Not now.
You know, we're now in the time of Zoran Mabdani and young people taking their space.
That was very inspiring.
Yeah, and I mean,
because he was a rapper.
He was a rapper, right?
But man, I don't really like to talk about politics. You know, Uganda politics is very charged. So,
but I guess
I feel like people, once you talk about politics, for example, the statement I've made, people will twist it, maybe think I'm talking about the current government or the incoming government or whatever. But the statements I'm making are as a person who's in Uganda
and who's
experiencing Uganda. You know, Uganda is a very lovely country. It's a very nice country, but that doesn't mean it cannot get better.
And I think,
you know,
anyone who says that you're speaking badly would be unfair to you, because there is no country that has reached the top. All of us are trying to be better.
Exactly.
Right?
And for me, that's what I want for my country. So maybe when I'm 40, I'll be bored one day. I get some racks, I go and run for presidency, you know?
Hey, so this is the last
that would be the side quest of the century.
No, I'm telling you. So this is the last part. This is the last thing. 2040, vote Joshua Baraka for president. And slogan, a Uganda that feels.
A Uganda that feels. Yeah.
I mess with that.
Yeah.
Joshua, thank you so much for joining me.
Actually, I won't even say vote Joshua Baraka. I'll say partner with Joshua Baraka. Yes.
Listen, thank you so much. This has been super fun.
Thank you.
And inshallah, I'll be watching you the same way.
Amen.
People in Uganda are watching Mabdani on CNN, causing a ruckus. There'll be a time when we'll be, Kigali will be hosting a Trace Music Award, Africa Music Awards, and you'll be there.
Amen.
You'll be hosting MTV Africa. You'll be there.
Amen.
And not just as a guest.
Yeah. Yes. Amen. Hopefully.
Amen to that, brother. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having
Hope
me,
you
man. I
enjoyed
had
it.
a great time, man.
You did?
Thank you. You're such a great person as well. So I had a great time, man. Thank you so much.
Now, what you're going to do off camera is like, share a few contacts. We talked
talked
about networking, eh?
No problem.
Next,
no problem.
next is Lagos. I also want to enjoy your Lagos.
Please, go. Lagos is a place of its own. Nigeria, but Nigeria, Lagos in particular, is its own place. There's no other place like that in the world. I'm telling you. You see how Kampala is kind of like Nairobi?
Yeah.
There's no other place like Lagos.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I have never experienced it. Maybe I will very soon.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
All the best.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me, man.